move better every day. Today we are looking at hands and feet. So, which is why I've got bare feet. Yeah, the extremities. We tend to ignore them, but as always with everything that we've done so far in this series, really important. So hopefully your hands and feet are going to feel amazing after this little half an hour. We're going to start seated, so grab a chair, but equally I've just chosen to sit on the ball today, just by way of a bit of a change. We're going to start with a bit of a massage of our feet. So if you've got socks on, fine, keep your socks on, but if you can, go with bare feet. And then here's the next thing. So actually this ball is a little bit wobbly for me. But yeah, get one leg up and take hold of one foot. And you're just using your thumbs and your fingers and sort of squeeze. So my thumbs are squeezing the underneath of my foot and my fingers are squeezing on top of the foot. And just get yourself comfortable. In hindsight, this wasn't the best seat. In fact, I might just swap this over, because if I'm wobbling, I'm not going to be able to talk to you. So I didn't fancy a chair today, so I've gone for a lower level. Obviously, you could do the sort of thing sitting on the floor as well. And then I'm just having a little massage, using my thumbs primarily to sort of massage all underneath your foot. Work your way up and down both sides, in the middle, pressing my fingertips on top, sort of scrunching everything up. Might even be a little bit uncomfortable. Sort of moving the skin around. There's a quite nice thing to do. So you need to apply quite a lot of pressure for this. Move the skin around. Take hold of your heel, wobble it about a bit, bend your toes over, push them back the other way. So just really get it all moving. Pull one toe out at a time. Get the blood flow to the foot. Maybe some little circles around the top of your foot. So the top of your foot's quite bony, not really much flesh, not much to play with, but it will feel really nice. So now I'm going sort of around my heel a little bit, around the Achilles. Lots of different ways you can massage your feet. This is obviously the easiest. You could use a tennis ball, you could use a golf ball. A golf ball underneath your foot is actually, it's quite hard and quite strong. So keep going, a couple of minutes more. Brilliant. And then stand up and just have a little walk around and notice, how does that foot feel? So mine feels a little bit lighter. Yeah, feels good. Feels like I've got some blood flow going there. So, sit down again and try the other foot. So same sort of thing. And noticing the difference between one foot and the other. One foot, as always, we know that we're not symmetrical. We're always more dominant on one side. You might have broken your ankle years ago, so one foot's going to be a little bit more damaged, scar tissue there. So pushing the thumbs in, pushing your fingers, running your fingers up and down, scrunching your toes over, pulling, stretching the skin. We're going to try, once we've warmed the feet up in this way, so this is like going to the massage therapist, going to see your chiropractor, going to see your osteopath. It's like a third party doing the job for you. So you're getting the blood flow by connecting with your hands onto your feet. And then when we've done this on both feet, so pulling those toes out, We're going to start to just use the feet, try and work the feet on their own. So then you've got the challenge of getting your brain to switch on and move to the right muscles so that you can do all these amazing things with your feet, which we're going to discover in a little bit. So wiggling that heel around, stretching the toes over, just moving the skin around, over the bones. I think that's probably about the same. Have a little stand. Yeah, that feels good. So we're going to finish the foot section with walking again, but let's just stand for the moment. And let's just mobilise, so standing on one leg and mobilising the other foot around. I say mobilising, you're just twiddling your ankle around, but I'm allowing my toes to get scrunched over, I'm allowing the ankle to go around, and let it go as far as it's comfortable. If it's uncomfortable, painful, then obviously don't do it, but if you can, stick with it. Just go right to the very edges. Staying on the same foot if you can. Leave that heel in the floor and scrunch your toes over. So if I go slightly sideways, scrunching my toes over and then lifting my toes up. So the heel is staying still, keeping the toes lifted, scrunching over. So this is called a foot fist. You're making a fist with your foot. Really good for all the muscles underneath your foot. Really good for strengthening, waking them up, getting that mobilisation going. This is quite tough, and if you need a little bit of support with the wall or the back of a chair, it's absolutely fine. Keep that scrunch, keep that fist with your underneath of your foot, and then try and circle at the ankle. So this is obviously quite challenging on the standing leg as well, but keeping the fist, so keeping the toes scrunched under. They will want to lift up at some point in the circle. Try and keep it, and it's quite crampy, absolutely fine. And then if you do get cramp especially, now roll through, digging into the ball of the foot into the floor a little bit, rolling through both directions, massaging, stretching out all those muscles and tendons underneath your foot. Great, let's try the other side. So just mobilising the ankle first of all. So the lowest level of trying to get the ankle going in all different directions, scrunching my toes over a little bit as well. I'm not putting any weight through it. Standing all on my other leg. Brilliant. And then circling. Did we do circling the ankle? No, that was that one anyway. Okay, sorry. Heel down into the floor, scrunching toes over and then releasing. Scrunching toes over and releasing. Noticing again, does this foot feel different to the other foot? It may well do. Do your toes bend all the way over, or do they sort of get stuck? Are you not really able to do that scrunching of the toes at that joint? That's maybe something that you need to work on, and again you're going to discover it as you do these exercises, whether that's an area of difficulty or just a sticky area. So keeping the fist, ooh, and circling. So this foot for me today is much more crampy. So a great exercise for standing on one leg. You could do this while you're waiting for the kettle to boil. Just have some ankle twiddles, some awareness. Oh yes, and then when you've had enough of that, the cramp might have kicked in much earlier, might not have kicked in at all, it might have happened straight away, so just roll the foot out. So now I am applying quite a bit of pressure through the ball of my foot, just to get rid of that cramp. Brilliant. Okay, we're back to seated, and I'm going to come back to my slightly higher chair, I think, and I'm going to go slightly on an angle, going this way. So, sitting nice and comfortably, feet and knees hip width apart. lifting all your toes up off the floor and then just relaxing them, lifting them all up and trying to sort of spread them apart a little bit as well, and then letting them lower, lifting them all up and letting them lower. And then if you can, keeping the big toe down and lifting the rest of your toes up and then swapping over. Think about that. So big toes up, the rest of your toes down, swap over. Big toes up, the rest of your other toes. And this makes me scrunch my face up quite a lot. And you're probably doing the same. Toes. And then go little toes down, big toes up and swap over. Big toes down, little toes up, swapping over. So a little bit of rotation in that ankle. One of each, so big toe one side, little toe the other side, swap over. Here's the really difficult one. I find this really difficult. We're going to go from the outside in. So it's called a cannon. You go one toe after the other. Starting with your little toe, next toe, middle toe, second toe, big toe, sort of. And then big toe, lift and peel to your little toes. And again, little toes down to the big toe, back out. Let's go the other way. Big toes down. It's supposed to be big toe, second toe, yeah, to your little toe. Doesn't really happen. Little toe for me anyway. Little toes, yeah, they all tend to lift up at the same time. So that's definitely a work in progress for me. Okay, from here, thinking about moving the ankles, but keep your knees nice and still. And if anything, put your hands on your knees maybe. Let's go both toes in, both toes out. Both sets of toes in, I should say. So rotating around the shin bone. So thighs stay still, you don't want your knees joining in or your thighs joining in. And I've got my feet on my yoga mat just so that you can really see what's going on today. But ideally, if I was to do this properly, I am starting to ruck it up a little bit now. You want to have an even weight distribution between your big toe and your little toe, sort of across that socket there, that joint there, the metatarsals I think it is. So you're, pushing the ball of the foot. So basically what I mean is you're not rolling in and out the ankles, which will also make you move your knees more. Let's go both in the same direction. This is called Windscreen Wipers. All got lots of lovely names for these. Wait till I get to the hands. Great, okay, then we're going to take some caterpillars. Almost the last thing with the feet, until we come up to walking. So we're scrunching the toes under, you're scooting your feet forwards, lifting the toes, placing them down, scrunching the toes, and that makes your heels scoot forwards a little bit, if you can. And as you can see, I'm rolling forward. So if you're sitting on a chair, you'll come to the point where your feet are legs are almost straight, and then dig in, lift the heels and reverse. We're coming back again. So going forwards, scrunch. So when you scrunch your toes and keep your feet on the floor, the heels are going to go forwards because you're shortening the distance between your toes and your heels, your big toes and your heels. And then coming back, you've got to lift the heels up to return. Yeah. And again, really quite difficult. So this is a fabulous Garuda exercise. So you can, it's sort of like a foot wave. Keep your heels still. This is much better when you're on the floor. You keep your heels still. This is that same thing. It's like you're taking a wave, and I'll do the other foot. Good, and then reverse it. So you stay scrunched and you stretch out. Scrunched and stretch out. Yeah, and then the other foot. Brilliant. Okay, let's finish off the feet section. They're going to feel beautifully alive now. Just have a little walk around. So right up onto the balls of your feet. You don't need to have straight legs with this, but so you can bend your knees. You're walking normally, but you're pushing over that instep, if you like. Trying not to let those ankles collapse. This is why this is so good and important for your feet. So you want equal weight between that big toe joint and that little toe joint across the toes, across the metatarsals. And then let's try walking on the heels. So this might be actually quite uncomfortable for you. It's not the most elegant way of walking about, for sure. Good. Then last couple of things are all the way on the outside edge of your feet. So hopefully feet and ankles are warm enough for this. If it's painful, don't do it. But all we're doing is really increasing the tolerance for you to be able to let your foot, let your ankles go in all different directions. And then the last one, rolling in. Really not nice, but have a little go if you can. So just lifting the outside edge of your feet up onto those big toes. Notice what happens to those knees, thighs. It all rolls in, it all collapses. It makes you feel like walking like this, which is why ideally we don't want to do too much of it. But then if you come back to a nice, normal, regular walk forwards and backwards, and if you've got a lovely yoga mat, have a little walk up and down. Hopefully that feels quite nice. And now you feel much more aware of where you're walking on your feet. So really, really good exercises to do. Brilliant. Okay, we are going to come to the hands now. So, coming back to a seated position. Brilliant. Okay, so let's just start with really quite basic stuff. So stretching your fingers out, fingers and thumbs as far apart as possible, and then squeezing in, making a real scrunch. If you've got really long nails, this isn't going to be very comfortable, but do what you can. So stretching out and scrunching in, stretching out and scrunching in. Good, so this is a natural thing. Something I haven't had a chance to look at today. It's really difficult, this half an hour goes so quickly, but grip strength is another thing that I might look at another day. So we're quite used to scrunching up the fingers in this way. Now I want you to keep your fingers straight and spread apart and sort of make a bud. This is James De Silva from Garuda Pilates calls this a bud. So you're keeping your fingers straight. I would actually prefer to call it's like an emu head or a bird head, yes. And in fact, one hand, interestingly, so my right hand does this really quite well. My left hand doesn't do it so well. My left fingers don't seem to want to stay straight. They want to curl around. So that's an interesting thing that I've already noticed. Okay, so now have your hands down by your hips. Spread your fingers and your thumbs far apart, and we're going to sort of take a scroll in with a straight finger. So if I have to bring my hands a little bit closer so you can see. So little finger in, ring finger, middle finger, next finger, and then the thumb goes over the edge, and then you open back out again. And then once you've opened out, and if you feel like adding this on, have your hands by your hips. So shoulders are pinned back, sitting up really nice and tall, elbows are pinned back. And you're almost tipping the hands back, you're trying to tip the hands back. And then fingers rolling in, thumb goes over last, and then the thumb leads the movement out. In fact, I'm going to bring my hands forwards a little bit and keep my arms straight there. It's also quite nice. Brilliant. So straight fingers, and then going one at a time like that cannon thing. And now let's try and keep them straight and just sort of do twiddles. So this next section, I've called this the sea anemones with your fingers. So I'm trying not to bend in, we're going to do that in a minute, but keeping the fingers straight, so just moving from the knuckles if you like. All slightly odd. Good, and now let's go for full sea anemone or spider. So you're curling and then trying to do one finger at a time. So from the side there's this one finger going out and then up and then yes. And then almost coming, and then let's take a little wave actually here. So again from the side, Yes, that's a real proper sea anemone. And now just make them spidery, as if you're, typing really fast on the keyboard, going all over the place, but really scrunching in. So I've just done this I've taught this in a class earlier, and this should make your whole of your forearm really feel quite warm and almost a little bit uncomfortable. Great, okay, let's do a couple more things here. So, in fact, no, I'm going to pass on that one. Let's bring your palms together and see if you can pull your fingertips back a little bit from being together. So fingertips are together there, and then we're pulling back. And then keep the fingertips pulled back and the thumbs, but keep your palms glued together and apply quite a lot of pressure into your palms, sort of in opposite direction, and twiddle them around. And what this is going to do is really get those palms really warm. So a bit like what we were doing earlier with our feet, massaging the feet. Great, and then clasp the fingers, and then extend them and take them into the next one along. So your completely unnatural way of clasping. Open out, swap them over. Let's open out and go another one along. And back to the centre, back to your natural one. Go along, go another one along. Try and get the thumbs joined in with this as well. All sort of a little bit odd. Brilliant. Okay, give the wrist a little bit of a shake. Perfect. Let's take a palm forward. And when you're taking this palm forward, so if you're doing this with me, just mirror me. So don't think about left and right, just mirror me. Do exactly the same as if you're opposite me in a mirror. And then your hands of your fingers of your other hand are going to go on top and be on the opposite fingers, if that makes sense. So my little finger is on my forefinger of the other hand. So thumbs are out opposite directions. So we're pushing forwards with the heel of the palm, pulling the fingertips back a little bit. Curl the hands over and swap over so that your other palm is now forwards. I've lost grip of my fingertips, that's it, there. So another way to think of this, curl your fingertips round. So fingers up for this one. So we haven't changed contact, we haven't changed grip, we're just changing which arm is pushed forwards. Fingers up on this one, this will be the easy one. Curl your fingers over, swap hands over, swap arms, and now you've got fingers down. I can't keep my fingertips together. Fingers down. Curl the toes. Curl the fingers tips over, fingers up, thumb is out to the side. So I'm pushing forward, I'm pulling my fingertips back a little bit. Curl the fingers over, this is fingertips down. I'm not very good at that, I'm going to do one more set. Fingers up, curl over, it looks like I'm doing a great big figure of 8, but I'm actually not. And then, when I can keep my fingertips in the right place, fingers down. Okay, give us a little bit of shake. Let's try that on the other side. So the other hand with the fingers up, place your other fingers of your other hand on top so they're connected. Thumb is out to the side. Arms are fairly straight. Sit nice and upright with the back. Curl your fingers round, you sort of do a little bit of a loop there. This is the harder one. Fingers down on this side. Yeah. Curl over, fingers up, roll in, fingers down. Sort of getting it a little bit better this time. And fingers up. Pulling back, getting that nice stretch across the palm. How often do we ever do any of this? Great, one more set. Fingers up, I feel like the thumbs have got a little bit ignored in this one. And fingers down. Perfect. Okay, one more that I forgot that we should have done before that one. Doesn't really matter. So just clasping your hands again, tucking your elbows into your sides, draw a figure of 8 with your fists. Really just getting the wrist rolling all around. Now, going in the opposite direction for your figure of 8, which is really quite challenging, but great for the brain. Brilliant. So something that's really important whenever you're doing any of your, if you're doing actual exercises and like press ups for instance, and people quite often say to me, oh, my wrists are really weak. It's so important to keep the dexterity in your fingers and your wrists and the strength in your fists for grip strengthening, but also when you're doing things like press ups and you're on the floor, or even just being in an all fours position, really spread the fingers and the thumbs far apart to spread the load over your wrists, and then maybe just try this sort of thing of just applying some pressure through those wrists by just gently circling your shoulders around. And if that in itself is really uncomfortable or painful, just try and do a little bit more each day if you can. You might need to make a fist, so you're there. Let's get my hands there. So thumbs are forwards, but with the wrists nice and straight if you can't tolerate the hands being flat. But try and increase your tolerance with it. The key to it is to build up the strength, build up the tolerance so that you can do the things that you need to do every day with good confidence in your body. That's the word I was looking for, confidence in your body. So one last thing, when you're sitting at your desk, I'm just going to get this block actually. Yeah, so just a little brain thing. So you can just, maybe you can just about hear that. So quite often I do this thing where I do some rhythmic tapping. So I go from my little finger, next finger, middle finger, forefinger, thumb, and just really nice and evenly, and then reverse it. And then maybe go one way and then back the other way. And then try and get faster and faster. Maybe go one there and then back the other way. That's a challenging one, I haven't tried that before. So it's just to get the dexterity in your fingers, making your brain work, but making sure it's nice and rhythmic and even. So what you'll find when you go faster is that 2 fingers will get stuck together. And your left hand, if you're right-handed like me, your left hand maybe won't be as dexterous as the right hand. But yeah, another little challenge and something to think about. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed today's Move Better Every Day, which was hands and feet, the extremities. Thank you.